Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the live stream for today's AM session. Today is December the 12th. Before we get started, just want to highlight that today we had CPI released at 8:30 this morning. So CPI did come out. It was a month over month increase of 0.1%, which is a little higher than forecast, but year over year, 3.1% was equal to forecast. So I'm not sure what that's going to bring us, but at least we know that forecast was met on the year over year, but the monthly was a little higher than expected. Let's just take a quick peek at where we are price wise. We do see that there was a decline at the 8:30 at CPI announcement. So we had price. Let's see where we came from. Okay, we had price coming from about 16,345, crashing for about 150 points roughly. We now see a retracement. Not sure how deep a retracement that we have so far, but we do have a bullish movement for the last 15 minutes or so. And so for now, let's just get our bearings together and see if this is just a retracement of bearish momentum or if the bearish movement was the liquidity grab that price needed. And now we're reaching for the highs of the morning just before the push downwards. So we'd be looking for the highs of 16,345. One thing I want to do is I want to check the CME report and see what volume looks like for the December contract versus the March contract. Okay. I don't know how many of you watched yesterday. I did put the sheet up on the screen. I went to the website and looked at what the volume was yesterday. And let me put it back on the screen today so I can show you the difference. So yesterday there were a lot of questions asking why hadn't I switched over to the March contract. And as of yesterday, volume on the December contract was higher than volume on the March contract. But I just refreshed the website today and we can see that the December contract has roughly 400,000, whereas the March contract is close to 550. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch my charts over to the March contract. And so we will not trade the December contract any longer. We still have the same continuous contract, but we no longer have to deal with the gap anymore. So let me just do that right quick. Get rid of this. Okay, and so the March contract is code NQH2024. So this is the one we want to select. And we want to deselect the December contract. And while I'm at it, I might as well do ES as well. And the Dow. Switch right on my charts. All right, and there we go. Okay, so we have on the 5 minute a fair value gap right at the new day opening gap, this yellow shaded area. So let's see if price bounce from there. We have two wicks on the 50% right in these two areas. And both instances we saw price go bullish afterwards. So let's see if we can get the same type of reaction. And it's good to see you again. Welcome back. All right, not quite there yet, but let's see. Let's see what the next couple candles delivers. All right. So I'm hoping we get something like this. All right. Equal highs is a quick target. Like 50% level. These two areas that bounce into the new day opening gap and gave out bullish momentum outside of it, we have equal lows as well. I wonder if price will want to touch that area before we leave. Okay. It looks like we retested what was the upper extreme of this price leg, and it looks like a new high is going to be made. So for now, we will not set up a limit order for anything. We'll just continue monitoring. In Central, it is 9:21. Yes, I'm in Mountain Time. It's 8:21 here. I start at 10 a.m. for East Coast. I was a bit late this morning. I started at about 5 after. But yeah, well, welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying the program. I try to start every day at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and then also the afternoon session is 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so we have equal highs again. Yes, absolutely. That's the eight. That's for the morning session and afternoon session. Those are the times. Okay. Yep. Got a feeling this is our area. Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I have a goal of, let's see if I can get to 100 subscribers in the next 2 weeks. So let's see if I can do it. Hmm, that's close. All right. That was a quick trade. Just like that, we are 0 for 1 for the day. Still think price wants to come down to this yellow zone. Excuse me. I'll be right back. Let me go and refill my coffee. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. Did I miss anything? Okay, looks like we just had an impulse candle. No, still waiting for price to reach down to this yellow level. Okay, watching the clock. It's now 10:30. Let's see if price changes for the second half hour. Pretty much since 10 o'clock, it's been in this range. Hasn't reached out of it. I know. Good day. I'm doing well. Doing well. We just started the session 25 minutes or so ago, and so far we got. I tried this one setup here. It was a loss. I went in with 2 contracts, but it's fine. Hopefully, we get some more setups during this session. Mathematical genius. What's up? Good morning. Welcome. Good to have everyone in the chat today on the live session. Anyone take any setups so far this morning? Because I know some of you are up early and probably trading either late London session or maybe like the 8:30 start for New York. Okay, while we're sitting here, just for a quick minute, let's jump over and take a peek at the US dollar and see what Dixie's doing this morning. Okay, looks like it did about the opposite of indices, which is to be expected. Ran these highs. It's now inside of its new day opening gap, where it sold out of, but it could just be a retracement for this bullish movement. I think as we look at this candle here, you want to just keep an eye on where 50% is. That's where it retraced to, and now it's a candle. It's buying slightly. So we just want to monitor and make sure that this candle is only going to return maybe to this midnight value, this purple dash line, and then see it crash down. If that happens, then we should on Nasdaq, we should reach for those highs from this morning. Okay, let's get back on the 30-second. Move these tools out of the way. All right, let's pull the glasses back out. There we go. Now I feel like myself. Wow. Okay. All right. So you were somewhere in this area, so it came back on you. It probably stopped you out here somewhere, but if it didn't, yeah, still be running. Wow, that was a good setup, though. Good job. Yeah, it was a long night for me. I couldn't sleep very well, so I spent most of my night tossing and turning. And then at about 1 in the morning, I opened my iPad and started looking at the London charts and just watching other traders. So I only got maybe 2.5 hours of sleep last night. But I'm here, and today's a new day, and we're trading. Yeah, I've never actually traded the London session, but every day when I look back at price action, when I wake up in the morning, I always wish I was available during London because it seems like if there's a good move for the day, that's where it starts. Um, Even days where it consolidates and doesn't do much, it seems like London still has a move that you could have benefited from. It's just being on the west side of US, it's really tough to do that session. Although when I'm going to bed is usually when it's starting. So if I wanted to, I could probably squeeze in maybe the first 2 hours. Yeah, that's a good one. And it's CPI coming. I'm not sure how comfortable London traders felt today because I never thought about that when you have news coming at 8:30 in the morning for us U.S. traders. It's when we wake up in the morning, the news is usually delivering, and so we just wait for a little bit and then we're able to trade. But if you're trading the London session and you're up 6 hours prior to news, I guess it's similar to when we have FOMC in the afternoons, where in the morning price action can be a little weird. Oops. So let's see if we can't get price to dig in through this fair value gap. I'm in target these equal lows. Yeah, notice right here in this yellow area, this new day opening gap, there's also a fair value gap on the 5 minute and 15 minute right here. So I'm just gonna, so that's why I make an assumption that that's where price wants to go. There's just too many confluences in that area. We have any market maker model traders in this on the feed here? Anyone trade the market maker models? Yep, all of this right here. Yeah, and it's right at the 50% level of the move down from CPI into the opening bell. That crash down of 150, 175 points. We're about, excuse me, we're about halfway back up that leg down. Okay, that was a good candle, but let's see if price can hold or if it's just a wick. Let's move this out of the way. Let's For anyone who was on the who was in the live chat yesterday, uh, I had a lot of questions about why I didn't switch over my charts to the March contract. And so I just want to let everyone know that I did switch this morning. I opened up by um, walking everyone through why I switched today. Anyone who wasn't here and didn't catch that, I can go over it again if you want. Just let me know in the chat if you want me to walk through why I switched over um, to the March contract today. Okay, sure thing, no problem. Oh, let me start here. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so we'll make this really quick. I'll drop this link in the chat just in case someone else needs it and wants to check it out for themselves or for the future. Every quarter, you can come and take a look. But what we had yesterday is I showed everyone that we were looking at volume for the December contract as well as the March. And yesterday, the December contract had a lot more volume than March. March was trailing significantly, actually. And in a matter of 24 hours, now the March contract has more volume. So going forward, the March contract will continue to have volume until the December contract essentially has zero by probably this Friday. Um, so once the March contract took over with more volume, that was my cue to switch over. So I just checked it this morning before I started the session, and they let me know I needed to pull in all the March charts because now there's more volume there. Um, I noticed that the continuous contract switched over after Friday's session, but according to CME, the volume actually didn't, the March contract volume didn't take over until opening today. Okay, 10 minutes to the hour. Let's see if this closing hour macro can help us break out of this area where this zone that we for whatever reason can't seem to get out of. Yes, absolutely. Volume is the determining factor as to when to switch over. Whichever has the most volume is the one that we trade. Because you'll notice, like, the March contract has been available for a few weeks, but it had far less volume than the December contract. So if you were trading the March contract, you would have saw broken price action. It would kind of look like the Asia session, where you just see it's really choppy. It's moving a little slower. So yes, volume is what we're looking for when we're looking to trade. that earlier. Yep. Yeah. So now that I look at the daily, with the new March contract where the numbers are slightly different. They're a little higher than the December contract was. It looks like we have eclipsed our yearly high from July on the Nasdaq this morning with that move up prior to CPI. So by making a new high of the year, I'm not surprised that price is kind of sitting on his hands right now. Okay, we got our highest closing candle in quite some time. Yep, let's also not forget later this afternoon at 1 o'clock, we have the 30-year bond auction coming. Okay, all right. Finally, a bit of impulse. Let's see if it holds. Okay, let's see if we can't find a bullish scalp now. Let's look for a low to be swept. And then let's see if we can't get one that works out this morning. It's now 11 o'clock. I would have had a low taken by now with this one and so many right in the area, really close to it. Let's wait for that to happen, and then let's see if price can then make a new high. We can look for a long setup. Okay, we just keep adjusting our low to be the closest to where price is right now, so we know exactly when the first low is taken. While we wait, let's drop down to the 15-second. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All lows have also been protected on the 15 seconds. So yeah, that gives me a little bit more comfort that we didn't miss anything. Oh, there we go. Okay, 0 for 2 today, both long setups. Let's see. Let's see how 50% fared. Okay, 50% also lost his trade, and so did 70. Yep. Okay, now we're looking to see if this fair value gap can hold price and whether higher prices will be sought, or if we're going to end up trading back down into the same area that we were already in previously. Let me just extend this fair value gap out so we can see how close we are to it. We've swept the low that was created for the last setup. Okay, now we've just swept the low that was just created just a few candles ago. Okay. Let's see if this fair value gap can be reclaimed. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this morning, mathematical genius. This morning, it's not a lot happening. That's for sure. Mm. We got this little impulse here, which I thought was gonna move price, and as soon as that happened, we got a retracement, and it's kind of in this little fair value gap zone here. Seems like London session in between 8:30 and the opening bell seems to have a lot of the movement for the day. But this could also be seasonal. It is December, and you know how you always hear a lot of traders, experienced traders, talk about taking most of December off and kind of closing the books for the year. This might be why they do that. Mm. Right, building up to this last line of defense, this fair value gap at the top. Let's see if it wants to break through and continue delivering higher prices, or if this is actually what's going to send us back down towards either the midnight open or down to the new day opening gap. While we prepare for that, I'm going to go and get my third and final cup of coffee. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. Let's see where price is. I'm back. Okay, looks like it made a slight play into this fair value gap, only to reject. And now it's retesting again. Okay. All right, now we have a new high for the New York AM session. And it's just a good idea. Absolutely a good idea. Today, at least this morning session doesn't look like a good one for price action. So preserve capital. Continue watching price if you want, but yeah, choose another day to trade. All right, if we can get a retrace back into this fair value gap around this equilibrium mark, it should trigger our 30% retracement and trigger a trade. See if finally we will get one to work out for us. So far, we're 0 for 2 today. And both times this price retraced, it just came through with impulse. And as soon as it triggered the trade, we were out in 5 seconds. Oh man, price action is not kind to us today. All right, there's another one. Okay, so I'm going to continue to watch price. I don't think I'm going to enter another trade during this session. Clearly, price is not cooperating. It's not well, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not looking to make more gains. It's doing a lot of consolidation type moves where it moves to the top of a zone and then retraces back to the lower end. You have fair value gaps. It trades through the fair value gap, then it reclaims it, then it trades through it again. So I think it's worth continuing to monitor price, but do more of a setup for this afternoon. Just wait for those setups and see if it's cleaner after we have the 1 o'clock news come out for the 30-year bonds. Okay, so now I wonder if we had last hour, so during 10 o'clock, we had sort of a box range where price really didn't break out and do much until right at 10:55, 10:58, really. It broke out. And now since 11 o'clock, we're sitting in this box range. No, we're only 30 minutes in, but we saw this last hour, so let's just prepare for that. Okay, let's take a peek over at US dollar again and see what's going on there. Yeah, we still have declining price, but slow declining. Decline, and now it's building all the way back up for this hour. And then at the end of the hour, likely it'll decline, whereas we're doing the same, except we're doing a slow decline, and then we do an impulse up. They're doing a slow decline and an impulse down. I'm sorry, slow incline, impulse down. That's what I meant to say. Man, I need to get more sleep. Okay, let's take a peek at ES. I know some of you are ES traders. Okay, so similar story, 11 o'clock, just kind of sitting in this box. Let's look at 10 o'clock to 11. Okay, it was trending upwards. It wasn't sitting in the box the way Nasdaq was. Yeah, it definitely looked different. This is Nasdaq, and then this is ES, where you had higher highs, higher lows being made. Right, low sweep, high sweep. trade back into 30%, trade out, winning trade. Sweep below, take a new high. Oops. Trade down over here, 30%. We kind of consolidate for a bit and then trade it out. So that was a winning trade. All right, so it looks like ES would have delivered a couple winners during the 10 o'clock hour, whereas Nasdaq didn't give us anything to enter in on. Okay, let's go back to Nasdaq. Okay, back down to this fair value gap again. I don't know if you noticed, but this high right here on ES, this high was not made. It traded in this area and then down. So the high was at like 1105, somewhere in there. For everyone enjoying the live stream, if you could do me a favor and smash the like button, that would help YouTube send this invitation out to more traders looking for live sessions. It'd be nice to get more people in here so we can have those type of in-depth discussions. Also, if you want more invitations and this is your first time joining or maybe second time, consider subscribing so you can get an invitation to our live stream every day. Whether we do 8 o'clock and whether we do 10 and 1 for both New York sessions, or whether we scale it down and only do one session, at least you'll know which ones we're going to do and you'll get an advance warning plus a 30-minute reminder. Yeah, this model works. It works during lunch. It depends. If you get a trending market, it will work during lunch. And this is answer to mathematical genius. It works all sessions. Asia is a bit slow, at least early on in Asia. So once the market opens back up at 1800 until I guess around 8, 9 p.m., somewhere in that range, it's pretty slow. But then once you start seeing fewer gaps in price action, it actually works well in Asia as well. But since Asia's slower, you may want to reduce your stop loss and take profit down to 3 handles, just to make it a little easier to reach TP. All right, so we had a trade up near the midpoint of this fair value gap. We saw a rejection out down to the midpoint of the fair value gap below. Then springboarded out back, and now it's in the center of this zone. We just continue to extend this until it breaks out. Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna try that one day. One day I'm just gonna stay up overnight and just trade the London session and skip the New York session that day just to see how things go. I've traded this model, or I back tested this model and found very good success between the hours of like 3:30 in the morning and like 7. So it's like after the early impulse of London, but still during the London session. I found great success during that time period. Um, Obviously, I'm not awake during that time period, so I've never traded it. But going back and looking and back testing that time has been, it looks promising for sure. Welcome, Chris. Yeah, this morning has been one of those mornings. So I've taken 3 trades. I'm 0 for 3. I'm so far down 5 contracts, so that's $500. And yeah, I'll just show you where they occurred. Okay, so this was the first one. You see, we broke out to the upside and then a big impulse candle down. So it tapped the entry and just shot down. So within 5 seconds, that trade was over. Um, Not the same on this one, but near to it. Once it tapped me in, then it just didn't didn't hang around for long. And I think that this was the third trade, and the other one was the first one. So the second trade was likely somewhere in a similar zone, either here or up in this area before this trade. Um, but either way, I'm just watching price for now for the rest of the session, and we'll resume trading in the afternoon session. So we got about another 20 minutes, um, and then we'll pick back up at 1 p.m. and look for trades at that time. $46.85 on ES. Okay. Yeah, I just showed the ES charts, and I noticed that ES made a new high here, the same as Nasdaq, but then Nasdaq made a high on this side over at around 1125 that ES didn't do. I wouldn't say it's more risky. I just had the fair value guys up here, just trying to see if it will push through so we can make higher prices. But no, it's not necessarily whether it's more or less risky. Um, but if I would say if you notice there's a fair value gap and and let's say you have a price leg like this one here. Let's extend that. Delete this. Okay. Right. And we have this fair value gap in this area, and we're expecting higher prices. We do have a relative, I guess, expectation, a good expectation that price will want to retrace down to 50%. And in this case, we see that the fair value gap is above 50% and slightly below. So price will likely want to retrace all the way through. So for that reason, um, as you're looking for a low to be swept and then a new high to be made, you would expect price to run through this fair value gap. But outside of that, I'm not using a fair value gap for any other reason in trading, not with the scalping. If I was looking for maybe the silver bullet or another one of the smart money concepts, then I probably would use the fair value gap more. But this is more to highlight really that price is just playing between these two and just bouncing. But I would say, like, let's say we were looking at the same setup here or the same price action, but there wasn't a fair value gap here. This impulse candle didn't create a fair value gap, but we still had one on this lower region. If price had bought up and this region hadn't been retraced back to, then I would say if we were looking for longs, that would have been a little risky, more risk than normal, because price hadn't returned back to this fair value gap, and usually it does want to return to the fair value gap and test it, impulse out of it, um, and so in that case, it could be risky if you have a fair value gap that's below 50% and hasn't been traded back into yet. Okay, so it looks like we are going to get that 11 o'clock box the same way we had a 10 o'clock box, where price is kind of sitting in this little zone that it won't come out of. And then for the last hour, we had one here. Right? Waited till the end of the hour, moved up slightly, and then resumed to do the exact same thing. So I'm not sure if this has something to do with the news coming at 1 o'clock or if it has something to do with us reaching a yearly high today, this morning. And actually, it could be both. Yes, Chris, I would say that for sure. Yes, whenever you have any doubt related to a setup, I would say go more conservative and look at the 50% entry as opposed to the 30% entry, even the 70%. And therefore, if you miss out and the price doesn't retrace far enough, no harm, no foul. You don't enter a trade, but you also don't lose a trade. Um, but if it does retrace all the way down, then you have an opportunity to win your trade with less risk than those entering at 30%. Yep, absolutely. That's a good strategy. Yeah, it looks like it's closed above 50% of the fair value gap. Let's see if now it can break out. Okay, candle bodies are still inside of the fair value gap, even though it didn't take out and make a new high. Make that a little easier to see. You're right, it absolutely does. It's definitely a slow grind. Yeah, we had the fireworks between 8:30 and 9:30. We had about 150 to 175 point drop. Like first at 8:30, it ran up, made a new high, and then immediately sold off all the way until the opening bell. Opening bell bought up about 50% of that, and then it just started consolidating, starting at 10 o'clock. So as soon as we got on, maybe it's a conspiracy against us. As soon as we start our session, price starts to consolidate. Right, we're now the highest point was about, I'd say, close to 80% retracement. So we've peeled back most of this morning's movement. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen after 1 o'clock. If we're going to make a new high, it's going to happen then. Otherwise, we're going to continue to trade in the zone. I wouldn't say I'm expecting us to trade lower than this morning, um, but it wouldn't surprise me if the afternoon session was uneventful. But I won't know that until I get there. I will definitely be there. Oh man, sweet. Wow. Okay, so you must have got in somewhere around the opening bell then. Oh, taking the trend after the news. Okay. Well, Chris, I would say if I was you, I would be a spectator for the rest of the day. Okay, just under 10 minutes before the hour. excuse me, before lunch. So we'll stay on for about another 10 minutes and we'll continue to watch price and see where it wants to go. Um, and then we'll break for an hour and we'll come back for the afternoon session. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's also a good strategy. You know, once you're up in one of your accounts, leave that alone and maybe move on to the other one. But yeah, we're definitely going to look for setups this afternoon. Yeah, even though price hasn't been favorable the last couple of hours, we're not discouraged. We'll come back at another hour, another session, and expect things to be different. Okay, price appears to be crashing right now. Swept these equal lows at the 50% mark. Now it's going for swing low just after 11 o'clock. Very typical of price during lunch to run out liquidity that's been building from the morning session. So what we had is we had a crash in price from the 8:30 CPI news down until the 9:30 opening bell. So what that left was a lot of liquidity in as far as people who took short setups. They were trailing their stop loss. So after 9:30, you saw it buy back up to, like I mentioned, about 80% of this morning's movement, taking out a lot of that liquidity. So people who didn't exit their trades either took smaller profit or had their stops hit. So now what we have is all the stop losses from people like Chris who took longs at the opening bell. All those people are still in the, or some of them are still in the trade and they're trailing their stop loss. So it wouldn't surprise me if during lunch hour, some of those get swept. I wouldn't expect price to go all the way down to the 9:30 open, but this midnight open here at around 16,470, I definitely can see that being touched on this during the lunch hour, and potentially these equal lows down at 16,460. Remember during the 10 o'clock hour, there was a fair value gap down at 16,450 area that we were looking for price to trade down into. So that could still be in play. So let's keep that in mind for everyone who's going to come back and join the afternoon session. Or if you're not, just throughout your trading this afternoon, just keep those levels in mind and see if they become a draw. So you're not surprised if price moves in that direction. Okay, another sweep of a low. See what's next. Next target could be this one on its way down to this fair value gap. Ultimately, I'm thinking price wants to get down to here. But I must say, I expected most of this to happen during 12 to 1 o'clock, not before 12. But you can see the time where price started to move, right? 11:50 when the macro starts, 11:50 to 12:10. All right, we're getting close to the end. Any final questions or comments? Anything from anyone in the live stream? Alrighty, well, thanks everyone for joining. We will be back in 1 hour for the afternoon session. This morning was a little slow, but it happens. We did have news, so we can't expect for there to be fireworks all day long. The market does need to calm down a bit. So we'll come back in an hour and we'll see if the afternoon session is better for us. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in an hour. Thank you all.